morning commute. I wanted to go ahead and get this one done because I think the rest of this week might get a little bit crazy with the Chicago Auto Show and some breaking news from different manufacturers. But I wanted to recap our very first real road trip in the Blazer EV, a non-Tesla EV, and what it was like heading out from DFW to West Texas and back. I'm really happy to report things are getting much better very quickly from an EV charging infrastructure point of view. So it is 150 miles out to Abilene, Texas. It is 150 miles back. We were doing a college visit and probably could have done this trip maybe in one charging stop. I would say definitely two, one in each direction. But we wanted to experiment a little bit, so we stopped a couple of times at different types of chargers, from Tesla to Electrify America to the Rivian Adventure Network, which is a brand new station out in Cisco, Texas, and everything worked. They all have their own little quirks and everything. Some you got to start from the app, some you can start from a payment screen, but everything worked. And we saw on average about 100 kilowatts of charging, 100 kilowatts an hour charging rate, and yeah, no problems. And got to sit down, have a snack, get a restroom break, and everybody got to check their phone on the latest Luka Doncic trade news, which was horrible, but we'll save that for another channel and another day. But the thing is the GM route planning software, and it's pretty good. But despite having a NACS adapter from General Motors, and despite buying it in their own Chevrolet app, which they require you to do, it's still, the route planning software doesn't recognize the Tesla superchargers when it does its route planning. And that's really frustrating, because obviously you want to dial that in. You want to be able to say, pick them, and it show you your charge rate when you get there, and your charge rate or your charging status at your destination. And despite, passing, I think 4 Tesla superchargers on this route in both directions, none of them show up in the automatic search results. You have to go manually search for them and add them as a stop. And even really when you do that, it's not integrated. So General Motors still has a long ways to go with their route planning software to make it seamless with all the Tesla stations out there. Same thing with Rivian. It didn't show up in the search results. All I got was basically Electrify America and some plug EV stations, and that's just not going to cut it. We need improvements. So, that was definitely a downside. Most of the stations that we stopped at were right on the highway. They were at service stations, which is great. The one that wasn't was the Electrify America station. It was in the Walmart parking lot, and people talk about this all the time when they do road trips. You have to leave the interstate. You got to go find the Walmart. It's usually a mile or two into town. And then you're going to have to park it at the Walmart. And if you don't want to go shopping at Walmart, you might have a little hike to something, right? We sort of did. We had a little hike to go have dinner. Now, it all worked out and the weather was great. But EA, that's the downside to their locations. It did work, and I should be thankful for that. Okay, I had no problems with the station. I think it had, and they all looked like they were up. So things are improving. We continue to, the one thing that I did encounter, I had my family with me. I had my wife, and I said earlier I could have done this road trip in one stop there and maybe one stop back. But I got a little nervous as I got closer to destination in West Texas. I'm watching the charge level of the car, and it's obviously dropping because we're on the highway and we're doing some highway speeds. And I could have waited until that very last Tesla station outside of Abilene. I could have charged there and been good for the 2 days we were in town and then head back. But I got nervous. And the reason I got nervous is because not all Tesla stations still work or will work with General Motors vehicles with the NACS adapters. And I thought, man, what if I get all the way to that station and it doesn't work? Now I'm down to about 10% battery, and I got choices to make. Do I backtrack? Do I go all the way into town? Can I make it all the way into town? I had no redundancy, and so what I ended up doing was stopping early. I stopped at a station that had Tesla and Rivian at the same station, and I was really glad to have it. And it turned out that all of those stations work just fine. But again, I got a little nervous. The last thing you can do when you're with the family is you don't want to have no options for charging, and then everything's your fault. Everything's your fault, right? So I will tell you guys this. I said the GM software still lacks quite a bit from a sophistication standpoint and completeness with the EV stations. A better route planner app, download it. It's fantastic. It sees everything. It lets you customize your current charge level in your car, what you want it to be at destination, all of these things, and it will lay out everything for you. My other frustration, though, is that app is available in the GM Play Store, but it doesn't work. You can download it, you can install it, and then you go to sign in and it just does nothing. And the last update to the General Motors software for the Blazer EV was back in the beginning of December. Okay, we're now almost 2 full months past that point, and there's no updates. And again, anybody that owns a Rivian or a Tesla out there knows you're constantly getting good updates for little bugs and just, you've made a great car and you've got some great screens with some great functionality in them. But for road trippers, man, you guys have got to stay on top of this stuff. You've got to. Software is everything in these vehicles, and you're behind. You may think you're ahead of who? Who are you ahead of? Ford or Ram? That's not bragging rights, okay? You've got to nail this now. So, all in all, for us, the road trip went great. Just a little bit of anxiety, but the charging was flawless. And honestly, looking forward to doing it again because it was a great ride. Nice and quiet, smooth, and yeah, we enjoyed it. So that's it, guys. Make sure that you're subscribed to the channel because, like I said, I think we're gonna have a ton of breaking news later this week, specifically around Jeep and Ram. I'm really, really hoping we hear about Ram Charger. God, I'd like to hear about Ram Charger. All right, that's it.